How's it going, everybody? We got a pretty important video to get out to you today, so I'm sorry it's not coming with more notice, but we got some big changes to Cosmic Crucible Season 17 as there were a lot of issues, as there normally are when a season starts, unfortunately. So, Commanders, we have made the following fixes to this season of Cosmic Crucible. Stage 3 non-legendary characters were spreading positive effects. This has been corrected to only legendary characters. So I had suggested a team where you have Nightcrawler beside Professor X because this was happening, right? This issue was occurring in U32. It's really unfortunate that it made it all the way to Season 17 and not fixed when we realized it was happening in U32. But at least they're fixing it now. This does mean that I would no longer recommend putting the Professor X team in Stage 3 because we can't, like, give him speed up, right? There's no legendary character to my knowledge. I guess Shuri. Oh, all right. We'll figure that out later. Okay. But there was a much bigger issue, and it came with the perma damage. So we're going to go over this after. I'm going to talk about the teams that I'm now using in which stages after we talk about these issues, but this was added after the fact. And the reason this timeline is important is because there is a really big issue with maximum health, and they don't entirely capture it with this explanation here. There is an issue with the reduction of max health. In all rooms, when a character takes permanent damage, they also take an equal amount of regular damage. This is like part 1 of the real issue with permanent damage. But anyway, they continue, effectively doubling the amount of damage dealt. As the team works to resolve this issue, we will update global rules to reflect this double damage. So I do have a video, and this is what I actually sent to developers when we realized what was happening, so we can go over this real quick. This is the problem with permanent damage as of right now. Make sure I'm not giving you too much audio here. There we go. So, as you're going to see, the opening attack that is going to do permanent damage is going to be on our Odin, and it's via the mind control from Professor X. Alright, so there's the hit from Quasar. Now, Quasar actually didn't take the double damage yet. Watch what happens when Quasar performs his action. This is what it happens when an ally puts permanent damage on you. So when an ally puts permanent damage on you, that damage materializes, but it's not doubled yet. After Quasar's interaction, that's when it doubles. So we're going to see it here in a second after Odin does his assist. You see, there's the double damage. So it's happening in weird interactions, because if it just was right away and that killed Odin, then Odin's not getting those extra assistance. So we got to be mindful when we're talking about like what sources of damages we can expect to take, when we can take it, because maybe we can get some extra damage out there the same way Odin did. But it continues. So that's a very small niche sort of application of this issue, right? The bigger problem happens on further interactions. So what we're going to see in this next bit is that Odin is not part of the equation. Odin doesn't get hit here. I think this is going to be Professor X doing his basic on Emma Frost that obviously doesn't actually hurt the Odin in this case, right? But he's going to take some damage, I believe. So there's the base. Now keep an eye on Odin's life. So just keep an eye on Odin's life. I know, sorry, this guy won't shut up. He keeps talking. See how Odin just took an additional hit there? Professor X reached out and touched him in a bad spot and hurt. There's no reason. There's no character on the enemy team or on my team that would explain why Odin took that extra damage there. So what's happening with permanent damage is, yes, the damage is getting doubled. But after every interaction, it doesn't matter if it's on the enemy side or if it's on the allied side, that permanent damage is being doubled again. It's being applied again. So in this case, Odin has about 20% damage on him right now. So with the first interaction, which was with Quasar applying the permanent damage, yes, Odin then took 20% regular damage. But then on the next turn, it's not our ally turn anymore. It's an enemy turn. Professor X has a single target attack, not on Odin. And that 20% original permanent damage on Odin gets applied as regular damage on Odin again. So it's not just permanent damage is hitting twice. No. It's much more than that. And that is why they had to adjust here. After receiving feedback, we are going to be removing Stage 6. Sorry, Daisy. And replace it with the following rule. Stage 6 health insurance on defense and offense. On turn, characters remove all positive effects from self and heal 10% of max health for each positive effect removed. So obviously we're going to talk about what characters I'm using in this room now, because we've seen this room before. This is a good room if your team can say has safeguard on spawn or something like that, so you keep your buffs. But they had to make this change because the old Stage 6, whenever you had a Cosmic Ally, this was Daysier's room, whenever you have a Cosmic Ally, all your characters perform permanent damage. So you can see how that would just like completely exasperate the issue we just talked about. In fact, I do have some footage of what that looked like. So let me go ahead, and this was footage that I captured in my Crucible. So Nightcrawler does his basic. That's not really very noticeable because the permanent damage is not high, but you can see it doubles. Here, Franklin does his basic on Apocalypse. So you see that. That's a little bit different, but that's, again, just one interaction. Check out the next interaction. Next interaction is my Franklin. And my Franklin then does his ultimate, but because I lost his coin flip, I'm already on the back foot. I'm getting 2 interactions of this permanent damage where my opponent's only getting 1. So watch, I'm just gonna start losing characters along the way through no fault of like poor planning or skill or gameplay. It's just an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. So stage 6 had to go, right? So what you can expect from this issue, because it's not exactly as they defined it, but it's on a much smaller scale. Is any character that does permanent damage will have this interaction. Professor X will be the biggest offender of this because you do get kind of AoE permanent damage out there, because every time you take a turn against the Professor X, you do a mind control attack that does permanent damage. So he's going to be the biggest offender of this, but there's also Mephisto. I don't know if Mephisto basics are going to be one-shotting people with this issue. Mephisto Empowered Basic does do 50% base damage. I didn't get to test Mephisto last Crucible, but I will be testing him now. He could just be one-shotting people, right? Now, obviously, this makes him an insanely powerful character on offense if this issue is not fixed anytime soon, so keep that in mind. But yeah, they had to take stage 6 out, and I do want to say sorry to Dacier, because Dacier, you know, this is the second season they try to get a room. I think there's just too much stuff going on in that room. I think also some stuff that happened in the back end. You know, we now have that old school Emma, whatever they did with her, that fixed her against Fantastic Four and against Emma X. Well, now it seems like whenever one side wins the initial coin flip, they actually just win all coin flips. So, and it's probably not even when the initial side wins it. It's probably predetermined when the match starts. Is, okay, side B is going to win every single coin flip here. Side A is going to lose every single coin flip. And I'm not actually sure if that's in Arena or everywhere, but it's not a good thing, right? So it seems like there was some things changed in the back end. Probably caused an issue with perma damage. Definitely caused an issue with the coin flip nature of things. And hopefully they're going to get it fixed real soon, because those are some pretty big issues. I will note this permanent health issue. This is Crucible only. So it's probably something that happened in the back end on the Crucible structure in the Crucible mode. So with that in mind, so now that you guys kind of understand what's going on really clearly, I'm going to show you the teams that I'm going to be using. I had a really rough week. Last week, I lost all 3. I lost all 3 because of stage 6. Let's not say that. I got so frustrated I stopped caring, but my opponents might have been in the exact same boat. The damage was just absolutely bonkers, and I actually didn't know it until Trial 2 happened. It is just bad. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So I'm actually glad that they removed stage 6, because it would have been just a repeat of all that. Anyway, Glass Cannon, I did switch my team up. I believe I initially had like a Cabal team in here. I'm just going to do 3 Annihilators with Dorm and Super Skrull here. The reason I have the Dorm here is because this kind of messes with a Blastar version of the team. They're going to have to bring in a lot of options here, or they're going to have to hope that their Blastar can get a perma kill. I don't think many people know exactly how to play Blastar perfectly yet, so they have a hard time getting the right amount of charges up. Here, they'd also have to bring in at least a Medusa, so I don't have the death proofs, or I guess they can bring in like Ares Apocalypse, take the safeguard away and try and peel the death proofs off, but that's way more difficult. So yeah, I keep my Medusa for offense. I still kind of think this is just a checkbox room, but pulling the Blaster team or pulling the Immortal team or whatever they're going to use here is more than good enough. Blood Transfusion, I initially had, I think like just a really cheap team in here. I forget what it was, but I'm throwing Starjammers in. I did find that what my opponents had on defense versus what I had on defense, I one-shot all the rooms except for stage 6 and 1 Accursed Failure, which I hate Accursed team now. I thought they were really good when they got scaled up, but they have some glaring weaknesses. I digress. I just found I wasn't putting up any sort of wall, and they were just able to walk through it a lot more efficiently than I am, so I'm kind of approaching more of a balanced look. And the reason I'm doing this is because they took stage 6 out. So we're throwing Starjammers up in stage 2. In the Legends room, I'm still treating this room like just a blank room, because whatever I put in here, I feel like the enemy will much more likely be able to devise a legendary character team where they're going to be able to take advantage of the base stats and the assists now, and spreading positive effects. Once again, like Blastar could be used here, right? Quasar, Shadow King, and if I throw a team like that on defense, it's just immediately shut down by anti-speed bar. If they have a freaking Captain Britain, they can just shut it down, walk over it, and it's a wrap, right? So I think that this room lends itself much more to offense than defense, and I'm just going to give this room up. The Mutant Double. I did see this team in my travels. Now, my team is nowhere near the same size as the ones I saw, right? I have a 3-star Shaw, a 5-star Azazel, all the Hellfire... Actually, no, I guess Shaw is geared to 20. The 2 other Hellfire Club members, they're geared to 19, so they fall over. This is a Phoenix Force team, and this is kind of where I'm just telling people, use your Blastar here, okay? Go use your Blastar over here. Yes, you can try to use your Mortal team. My Omega Ray Phoenix Force is going to go first because we're going to slow you down with the Emma, and you don't get safeguard, so he's going to do some stuff, and maybe he'll ability block the wrong target and wreck you, or maybe Cable and Rachel make you go first still, and you're just going to have to take the risk. I mean, you guys will figure it out. All right, Fester, this is where if you have trauma, at the end of your turn, you gain a bleed. This is pretty much a nothing room, but this is also where I'm going to step up my defense a little bit. I had taken Captain Britain off of defense, and I was keeping him in case I ran into a cursed team, especially an accursed Mephisto team. But because I'm going to bring my Mephisto to offense, and because there is this permanent health issue, I'm actually going to throw Captain Britain back on defense. And I found I was kind of wasting my Odin on offense. I had way too many options, so I'm actually going to throw him on there. So I put Starjammers, lost that team. I got my Night Stalkers back as a trade-off. I'm putting Odin and Captain Britain on defense, so I'm losing things there, and I'm actually making it up with my Professor X team. So I am still keeping Professor X on defense. I still need to keep a Nightcrawler there to protect him from old school Emma coming in here and causing a bunch of issues. We have Null, we have Emma X stopping speed stat, and of course Professor X stops speed up and speed bar. And I'm still keeping this in stage 6, actually. So there's no big issues here anymore, right? But on turn, clearing all positive effects from himself and healing, this is not really something that affects this team very much. We don't really get many on-spawn buffs to worry about. We actually don't even get many buffs until we get Safeguard from Professor X to speak on anyway. I think this more will affect enemies who try and come in with like offense up and stuff like that. But I also don't think this room is anything special. I think this will be a burn attack and done. And if you want to know the best way to burn attack this, I did learn this week, which I think played a big part in why I lost my matches. Immortal X-Men coming in here as a burn attack. So if you come in here with Immortal X-Men and you do a burn attack here, you take away their specials, and you just, that's it. Leave the speed bar closure on Professor X. Don't even let him take a turn. You come in here with Immortals, they do their thing, you do the best you can do with them, and then you just kind of go from there. I do think that the Immortal team still loses this, I believe. Yeah. But this was a much better way to burn the team and then come in and clean it up last week. Whereas because I had nothing else on defense, they didn't really need their Immortal team elsewhere. I think now I have more reasons for people to want to use their Immortals, but we'll see what happens on Stage 6. Obviously, in Stage 6, another thing that's going to hurt the Immortal team is on turn, clear out positive effects. I believe Storm gets her speed up on turn, and then she's going to lose it right away. So she's not actually going to be able to lap people as quickly as she normally would. But we'll see how things go. I'm kind of taking Crucible a little bit easier, but I did want to make some changes and beef up the defense a little bit if I end up having to face off against my opponents and we each have to take a loss here or there. I think that's better than what I was doing, just engaging in a full slobber knocker fight, because I was rank 11 last week. I lost 3 matches, so I'm ranked 32. So I'm still going to be around all these killers. And with characters like a 3-star Shaw, it's brutal up here for your boy. All right, guys. Well, that's it. So I definitely did just want to make sure that everyone was aware of the changes that they were doing to Cosmic Crucible and just really understanding the issues that are currently happening with permanent damage. And I don't have any footage of Mephisto's basic last week. Nobody, it seems, was doing that. But we're going to see if that is indeed a permakill. That's going to be very interesting. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you have yourselves a fantastic day. Of course, in a couple hours, we're going to be having the early blog access, so keep your eye out for that. And I'll see you there. Bye for now.